I'm pretty sure that this has always, we know losing weight for people is so hard and there's so many factors that go into it. But lately things that look real easy have hit the market. How has what you do here changed in the last, let's say, 3 years?
In the last 3 years, I will tell you, I'm doing more education. More education than ever. I definitely get a lot of people who are calling or interested in the shot, the skinny shot, the magic shot. And I'm having to let people know that you should really be a good candidate for that. So let's do some background stuff, look at some lab work, let's see if you're a good candidate for it, and let's educate you on what these medications can and should be doing and what your part is in ensuring that you have a good result.
And so let's start with, we know that these are the most common. Your Ozempic, your Mounjaro, your GLP-1 medications are your most popular. They've become widely popular in Hollywood, and they've also become popular at compound pharmacies as well. Tell us what are some of the main things that you're telling people about GLP-1s in particular?
I definitely would say make sure that you are obtaining them from a good, reputable, high quality source, that you have appropriate monitoring, specifically to the compounding pharmacies. Actually, there were approvals given to those pharmacies when the shortage of these medications came about. So they were approved to be made during what is considered a medical emergency or medical supply shortage. What has occurred now is that some of these drugs are now catching up, and they are now making them available. So I don't know that it's always just a compound pharmacy. Here's the problem, is that some people are sourcing these online, they're getting them from friends, they're getting them from people who are not in the medical field, they're getting them from other countries. So it just begs the question is, what's the quality and therefore what's the safety of these drugs that you're sourcing?
The drug in question here with the patient that we're going to be speaking to in this story, he was prescribed Adipex. Tell me, what is your take and what do we know about Adipex from a medical professional?
Adipex is one of our long-time drugs. It's been around for a long time for the use of appetite control in people who are overweight and obese. So these medications work by acting as a stimulant. And by doing that, they reduce the appetite from a central perspective, so from the brain. Here's what the issue is that it has to be monitored. You have to be a good candidate for it. We get into trouble with people who have high blood pressure, people who have glaucoma, people who have other heart rate issues or cardiac concerns, and who are stroke prone. So it is important that you are monitored when taking these medications. You're a great candidate. You don't double them up. Oh, I'm going out to the cookout, so I'm gonna take 2 today, or I'm gonna take, so it really matters how it's taken. And then the other part is, it matters what you're doing along with it. Goes with all of these medications, thinking that this is a miracle drug, you can live your lifestyle the same, even more eating, more drinking. Those are the things that can get into trouble for the long-term benefit of weight loss drugs.
In particular with Adipex, because that's what he was prescribed, and he says he, started to hallucinate, and he told this medical professional that he had issues with high blood pressure, took the high blood pressure, and it was on the high side, and he prescribed it to him anyway. What do you say hearing something like that?
I would say, again, making sure that you advocate for yourself also, recognizing that these medications are being prescribed sometimes in a rapid fashion, sometimes not knowing all of the history or the medical history, what medications are being taken. Make sure you're forthcoming. If they're not asking, you should be telling. And also make sure that if you're not feeling right off the bat, if you've taken something once or twice and you're not feeling well, you're starting to have headaches and things like that, don't keep taking it. Stop it. See a medical professional. Make sure that this medication is not something that's going to harm you, even though it's something that's supposed to do some good.
It looks like with the introduction of GLP-1s, we are seeing a lot of people who have battled obesity for much of their lives, who are getting a chance at feeling skinny and feeling good in their clothes and looking good in their clothes. And so it seems like, no pun intended, there's a greater hunger for weight loss. And people are willing to go to any lengths to get it. Tell us, what are the dangers of being so motivated that you overlook your due diligence?
I agree. There's almost like a desperation. And for people who are not even significantly overweight or obese, it's now being used in people who are normal weight, off label very often, but to try to stay in a certain range or to be able to have this eating and drinking lifestyle and not gain weight. So I will say the dangers are this medication is a medication, and it has effects on the GI tract, some that we want it to have in terms of slowing it down. But people can have significant constipation, small bowel obstructions. And one of the biggest things that I don't think people realize is the amount of muscle loss that occurs with these GLP-1s. Once off that medication, that can backfire and become a bigger issue than what you started with. So I think it's super, super important to think about the psychological impact. Many people you mentioned who have been overweight for their whole lives start to lose weight and have changes in their personality, changes in their behavior. There's even some associations with depression. So we really don't know all of the implications. It's just kind of flooded the market for the use for obesity, which was originally released for diabetes. So we're starting to see so many more people that are taking this medication. And so we need to be on alert of what kind of things are now being associated. Some not so bad. Some are decreasing alcohol use, but some can be problematic in the long run.
So if I'm coming in, I'm a patient, I'm clearly overweight, what are the key things that you want to know about me as a patient to decide if I'm a good candidate for weight loss drugs?
Key things I want to know is, what have you done in the past? I want to know, what are you doing now? I want to know what your blood work shows me, where there are any deficiencies in your body. What's causing the weight loss? The weight gain. What's causing the weight gain? That's an important thing to know. Are there other things that we're missing? Could it be hormone related? Could it be vitamin deficiencies? So I want to know also, do you have any predisposition to health conditions that you may not even be aware of? So we're looking at vital signs. We're looking at biometrics. Are you already a little bit low on the muscle spectrum? Is there something else that we need to take into account to help maintain that muscle while you're losing fat? So there's so many. What's the family history? What kind of psychological state are we in? Sometimes people are in their revenge body state. That's not a healthy place to begin a weight loss journey. It may be a motivation, but not a healthy place to sustain that. So we always want to know what's the background history, what's the medical history, medications, health conditions, hospitalizations, psychological patterns. All of those things are really important when determining if you're a suitable candidate, because there are other medications out there.
What do you tell someone who is so desperate that they don't even care about any of the pre-examination things that they should be looking at and going through? And let's say they found a place that's willing to give it to them. They're watching this story. What would you say to them?
I would say think twice about this. Don't just trust your body to anybody. And I know that it gets hard sometimes. It's frustrating. It's difficult to stay on the weight loss journey. But I would say don't give up on yourself. Don't give yourself over to someone that can't really support you for the long game. Look deeper into why this is an ongoing issue. I would definitely say pay attention to your emotions. A lot of times emotional eating and things like that can trip you up. So let's get to the root of those kinds of things. And not saying that you can't do medications, but there are other things that should be done along with it. So it's important for us to get our mental health professionals on board. We work with health coaches that can help guide you through those difficult situations so that you can actually learn and develop tools that will help you be successful, because nothing's worse than losing weight and then gaining it back and then losing it again. You got all size clothes in your closet. You're not feeling good going back in public after you posted on social media, your skinny body, and now you grow. So there's so many psychological implications. I just think it's important to take the time, learn more about the condition and how you can be successful for the long game.
I know we talked about this briefly over the phone, and let me know if you feel comfortable answering the question. Do you feel that some of these clinics who maybe don't necessarily go through insurance companies are in this for financial gain?
I would say everybody's out to make money. You know, that's why people are in business, is to make money. I would like to believe that it's not at the expense of a life, but I will say that the opportunities to take care of more people, do less over time, save, where you can. That's kind of the gist of business in general. So I would say to people, if you feel like you're being treated as a number, or if you feel like you're kind of in a pill mill or something like that, think twice about it. You have a choice. And I would say act on that choice in your own favor, because yes, businesses are in business to make money.
Some of the side effects that you mentioned could be deadly.
Yes, absolutely. Dehydration, small bowel obstructions, and you're not really understanding that. Nutrient deficiencies, and we see those in side effects. And if you kind of skip over it, it could end up with heart conditions, things that could result in GI upset for the long haul. So I would definitely say these medications, and particularly, like I said, Adipex, those are that are in that stimulant category, can be associated with some very worrisome conditions if not monitored properly.
Yeah, I think he said he was like hallucinating and dizzy, and he was at a concert and like thought someone stole his wallet. That never happened. It's kind of like a wild episode after taking this pill.
Yes, and on that note, and I don't know this circumstance, but I will say these medications really should be taken in caution if you're planning to drink alcohol, or you plan to do anything else to put with this medication. Just know this is a medication, and that should be avoided.
Any other advice to someone watching this story who, may be wanting to begin a weight loss journey? Maybe they've tried some of these things and they didn't do it the proper way. Just sort of like any last educational tips for people?
I would say don't give up. And if you have tried certain medications and you have not been successful, there are other things that can be done. And sometimes it's not just the medication. Sometimes it's the dosing. Sometimes it's the eating protocols that have gone with it. Sometimes it's their underlying conditions. I discover a lot of hormone conditions in both men and women that are causing weight loss difficulty and or causing continued weight gain. So get with a medical professional that really honestly either specializes in this like we do, or somebody that really, really enjoys it, they're passionate about it, and this is what they want to provide for you as a service through education, through support, through accountability, not just through prescriptions.
Speaking of prescriptions, we'll have you to do this. I'll show you a couple of photos. Look at this pill bottle. Photo 1, and scroll through and you'll see a second one.
The only thing I don't see is, I don't see the actual name of the medication. I don't see the expiration date. Yeah, it's just a general bottle of medication.
How dangerous is that? And is that okay? There's no name of the medication. So if there's no name of the medication, there's definitely not an expiration date.
I would say anytime we get a pharmaceutical medication, even if it's dispensed from the office, it should have the same thing on it that you get from the pharmacy. Name, address, it should have the prescribing physician, it should have the directions for how to take it, an expiration date, refill information. This, just because it comes from an office, which is legal, doesn't mean that it should be obscure as to what it is you're getting, how to take it, and what other safety precautions should be going with it. Whenever we dispense, there's an information page that goes with it, right? So you can read more about potential side effects and how to use. The other thing that concerns me is because there is no name, we don't know what's in the bottle. So maybe it is what the conversation that was verbally shared, and maybe it's not.
I was really thrown off by the picture. It was like, and imagine like if you're in the home with someone, you just don't know.
Right.
Like, you don't know what you're taking. You don't know
what
what's
you're
inside
taking.
this bottle.
You don't know what's inside it. You don't know what it should or should not be taken with. This is almost kind of like an over-the-counter, but without the name of it. And this to me is something that as a consumer we have to also wise up. Run, don't walk when you are in a situation and it's just not seeming like there's really attentiveness to you as an individual. This may be produced on a larger scale. I don't know, but I would definitely say from a clinical perspective, the patient needs to have more information.
Beyond the verbal conversation.
Beyond the verbal conversation.
Yeah, because what if I get home and I have short-term memory and I don't remember what we talked about in the office? I should be able to look at the bottle and know everything that I should do with that prescription without having to call you back.
Right, and also just the safety of other people who may be in the home, especially elderly people, people with low literacy that may not be able to read or understand what's in there. So it definitely would be important to have that basic information, the same as you would if you were picking up a prescription from the pharmacy. People who are looking for a comprehensive approach, meaning, yes, I want medical supervision, but I also want someone who understands thoroughly metabolic medicine, like what my metabolism is doing. If I were to run into problems, I can fix them. If we were to look at and assess something and say, oh, that's not the best option for you, let's consider this. So I work with people who are looking for a holistic approach, people who want to learn how to have a healthier lifestyle. They want the tools to be able to do that. And sometimes the tools are medications. Our goal is to use them properly, though, not to misuse them, to be able to add education and information so that at some point, eventually, you can come off of these and still be successful. Our people are looking for a way to enhance their body in a healthy way. They're looking for problems that can be solved for the long term. I mentioned hormone therapy, both for men and women. Typically men who are dealing with low T or low testosterone, women who are kind of in that perimenopause or menopausal state, but also women with PCOS. I can't tell you how many women I see with undiagnosed PCOS, and they're in their 30s and maybe even 40s. And PCOS is commonly associated with being overweight or obese and insulin resistance for certain types of PCOS. So people with thyroid conditions, you want to be with someone who can actually study your body, give you a treatment plan, and then walk you through how to be successful. So it's our passion, it's what we do, it's what we love to do, because we want more people to be able to go into their homes and transfer this into your family so that your family's getting better. If you're overweight a little bit and we get you together and your husband needs to lose a little bit, then we can help get him together, and then it becomes a ripple effect for our communities. This is not, I feel like it's over sensationalized, like do this and just, almost like get rich quick scheme, is get skinny quick scheme. Come on, those things are not going to last. And we only get one body. You can always build up your bank account, but you only get one body. So we want to be really, really serious about it. And we also like to infuse fun in it. This is a heavy topic. Being overweight, especially for a long time for some people, and even a short time, maybe after a pregnancy and haven't been able to shake that baby weight, it can be very emotional. So be with somebody that can support you in that way as well.